And looking at it, and then after you have the people, now there is the issue of the process. And usually the process is mainly just the culture. Because think about it. Like you're starting a company, right? Like the example that Mr. Jiro is referring to. You maybe you're starting with a single bus. And you need that company to grow maybe to whereby you have 500 buses. 500 buses means you actually have 500 drivers. Or even think of big companies, your INSCOs, to actually say maybe nationwide. INSCO has something like 2,500 employees. It actually means every time they keep hiring employees. But you never see a chicken in clothes saying we have new employees in place. Why? Because they built a process. Exactly. You just say someone comes in, they get into the process, they're through, right? But then that would not actually have been possible if the owners of INSCO are the ones who were standing on tools. See, actually maybe wanting to count the money to see that today how many drumsticks have you sold. It wouldn't work. You cannot build such a big process for such a big organization if you're actually maybe focusing on the operational stuff. And I think it's a matter of working in the business versus working on the business. Those are two different things. And I think most entrepreneurs, they actually have the challenge of saying they are working in the business instead of working on the business. Because what you find yourself saying, maybe you're a mechanic, right? You have a garage and you are the one who's changing the engine, then it actually means you are working in the business. And the only you're working in the business, there is no one who's working on the business. Because maybe your main goal, like Mr. Jerry highlighted, to say you should be a quitter. By being a quitter, your responsibility comes down to two things. Number one is leading, number two is strategy. And that is how actually maybe great companies are built. If you think about it, Steve Jobs himself, he didn't know a single line of code. In terms of actually sitting down on a computer, knowing how to build an iPhone. But now he was focused, especially now on the strategy, to say, all right, we need to build a company according to his own words. They wanted to leave a dent on the galaxy. And that is actually what he did, because most of his days he was working on Apple instead of working in Apple. And I think that's also an example, like even here at Energy. If you see Mr. Jerry, most of the stuff is actually on the strategic side. And that is actually why maybe we are able to actually achieve this massive growth.
Oh, thank you very much. So, rather work on the business than working in the business. I think that's very very useful quote because hey, it's so easy to miss the two and start working within the business, thinking that you're working on your business to grow. Now, if I manage to build this culture and I manage to discipline myself in order to start recruiting and all the things, is there a specific moment where I can say that I think now I need to recruit? Or when I start and then let's take for instance what is common in Zimbabwe. A lot of people are doing poultry, a lot of people are having birds in their houses and all over. So how are they going to be able to build that into something like Ivans?
Yeah, I think, like we've mentioned, we've touched on two things. To say, when do they actually know when to recruit? You can't start a business so to operate a serious business and you're doing it by yourself. Because I think the first month or the first week or the first day, I've got a client. I made a similar mistake when I started MJ. I was doing it by myself. But fortunately, I didn't last for a month. I employed my first employee because there was no way I could juggle everything. It was stressful and I wasn't making much. Because the moment you close your office, no one is there. No one is answering your phone. Let's say you're supposed to go to the bank. No one is not taking calls for your clients. What does it mean to your business? It means yes. So what I'm saying is you need to employ even before you actually start the business. I think I've got a client who started with 10 employees. He said he opened his doors with 10 employees. Currently, he's one of the biggest car rental. because he invested in people. Those are because you can't build a business without people. It's impossible. It determines where you want to go. Right now, I've got someone I'm actually giving advice with. He wants to open a milling company, and I told him to actually hire a general manager first. He should quit on the first day. He should focus on strategy rather than focus on milling. You see, he's employing 2 salespeople. He's employing an accountant. So that's how he's going to start. He's got 2 vehicles already, which are in place. So, do you think that business in a year, where do you see that business?
Now it's definitely going to grow.
So, but imagine if someone, because you cannot invest in 50,000 worth of machines, USD, and you want them to be operated by an attitude, or you want to operate them by yourself, you want to do the packing by yourself, you want to sell the milling mill by yourself. That doesn't make any sense. So, if someone starts saying he wants to be like Ivy's, which is a big dream, there's no way to start with 100. And even those 100, you might need to invest into someone who actually does the marketing, who does the selling, who does the operations, who is going to, because you are going to remain awake for 24 hours, because you need those chicks, they need to monitor. Who is going to do the monitoring? You're going to do it by yourself. That's why you're going to have huge mortality. You need someone who's going to research and guide you, you need a consultant. So, if you want to start a serious business, if there's someone out there who wants to start a serious business, you cannot start a business by your own. It's impossible. You are supposed to recruit on your first day. And to quit, you are the one who's doing the printing, you are the one who's writing a memo. If there's a proposal, you are the one who's actually doing it, you are the one who's doing the accounting. It's just a mess. So I will give advice to entrepreneurs to say, plan your business. People are, people they think in the sense of reducing costs. That's what the problem is. Whenever they are recruiting someone, they're saying, no, we are adding costs. But do they know the value which is actually being brought by that person? They don't. That's the way the $1 million question is. If we are recruiting someone here, how much value is that person bringing every day to the business? So if you employ 5 people, they're bringing a value of 5,000 each. Already we're 25,000.
Yes.
You see? So, and maybe those people, they're earning 500 bucks each. Times how much? Times 5. It's 2,500. How much are you getting as the profit after the salaries?
22,000.
You can even now expand, get offices, buy furniture, buy cars. Exactly. So that's why I'm saying, whoever wants to start a business, if you are still thinking of operating by yourself, you are still thinking of limiting costs, even if it even cascades down further. People, they don't even want to have offices. Especially with this COVID-19, it's even now worse. Because people, they found a false justification, which was already there. And the only reason which is there, they want to avoid rent. And then they'll say, I think it's comfortable working from home. I think that's nonsense. Which business is you seeing Amazon growing from home? Those guys, they've got offices. Yes, they started from behind the garage, but if you want to grow the company, there's no one who's going to give you 100,000, 10,000 whilst you're operating behind your garage.